right, guys, let's look at the second student task statement called shopping in two different cities. Two different cities have sales tax rates. Here are the sales tax charges on the same items in two different cities. Compare the tables. Okay, so you see these tables, you've worked with these tables in Unit 2 and even in Unit 3, and now these tables reappear in Unit 4. Okay, and that's the proportional tables, I like to call them, but hey, we're dealing with percentages now, and we need to study these tables so we can see what relationship that we need to follow in this table, okay? So when I look at the first column, it's telling me my items, which is right here. Tell me what my items are and so on. My second column is telling me my price. My third column is telling me my tax, my sales tax in dollars. Okay, and then it wants us to do the total cost. So now we need to use this row to figure out, hey, how can I figure out the total cost and so on. All right. So I noticed that $8 plus 48 cents and the total cost is $8.48. So in the last column, I know that I need to add, and I'm going to highlight this, I need to add these two numbers together. Okay, so I am using a calculator for this activity. If you guys want to use your calculator at home, that's totally fine with me. So 25 plus $1.50, and that's going to be $26.50 total. Okay, but I need to figure out, well, and I'm going to highlight in a different color, but I need to figure out, well, what's the relationship between these two numbers? Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a hint, or maybe I'm going to tell you guys this. All right, you want to divide this as if this was a proportional relationship. Okay, well, technically it is one, but I'll show you guys why in a little while. Okay, so I want to divide the sales tax divided by the price to figure out, well, what was multiplied times 8 to make it so small. Now, some of you guys may be at home noticing the unit connect, the digit connect. So if you notice that, oh, I see 48, I see 8, so it has to be something with 6, then good job, okay? But I still want to divide and play it safe, just to make sure I'm right. So I'm going to put in my calculator 48 hundredths divided by $8. And if you guys have a calculator at home, make sure you use it. And I get that this is 0.06 or 600ths. Okay, so that's what's being multiplied. All right. So now I want to take this number. This is my constant. Or in this case, this is the, we're not going to say this, but this would be the tax rate. But the tax rate wouldn't be 0.06. The tax rate would actually be 6%. Okay, but this is the percent decimal value. All right, well, let's focus on completing the table. So just like in past lessons, we've learned that we need to take this constant and multiply it times the first column or the second column, the input. So when I multiply 1, and I'm going to put this on the side, 1 times the constant, and then I'm going to multiply 12 times the constant. All right, and I'm going to get to this row last, but that's what I want to do. I want to multiply those two numbers together so you guys could be doing it at home. If you guys could beat me to the answer, that's fine. So the first one is 1, so any number times itself would give me the exact answer, right? So then in the last column, I want to add those two together. It's going to be $1.06. Okay. So then for the last one, 12. And if you guys at home guessing 70 something with 72, you guys, let's see. You're absolutely right. 7,200s. Okay. So what I want to do is add those two components together. And it's $12.72. Now, in the last row, I see an X, which is a variable. Guys, variables mean that it could represent any quantity, okay, or any item. If you walk up there with a basketball, if you walk up there with a t-shirt, a fork, a spoon, whatever, okay, the tax rate is going to stay the same. So regardless of what item you choose, you know that you need to multiply times the tax rate in its decimal form. So you guys could put the expression just like this. Oftentimes in 7th grade, you'll see it in this format, meaning that this is the coefficient times the variable, okay? And what we do, and let me erase this so you guys can see. So let's talk about this concept. All right, I'm erasing this. And I'm going to write in a different color so you guys could really understand what I'm saying and really see the visual, okay? So in the other rows, we did price plus the sales tax, okay? We did price plus the sales tax to figure out our total. Price plus the sales tax to figure out our total. So this one, we want to do X plus this term right here to give us our total cost. Okay? I wonder if I could combine this expression even more. All right? Now, I want to leave it just like that since we didn't cover expressions just yet. But I wonder if I could combine those two terms, okay? So, you guys tell me at home, all right? Just keep that in mind. We'll cover that in the next unit or in the unit after that. All right. So now let's look at the next table, which we should have kind of like figured out, kind of got a good way of figuring out like, hey, yeah, how to solve these tables. So we know that the last column is combining the price and the sales tax. So this one should be easy because it's $25 plus $2, which is $27. Okay. Now I need to figure out that tax rate. So guys, I'm going to put at home in my calculator. And you guys could use any ratio from these two columns right here in rows. You can use any ratio. So I guess since in the first one we use the first row and the second one, I want to use it as well. In the second table, I would like to use the second row. Okay. So I'm going to do $2 divided by $25. I could scratch out those zeros. And keep in mind that I'm using a calculator, which is going to be 800s. Okay. So the tax rate for the city 2 is 8%. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to multiply this tax rate, which is the constant. Now, even though this is the tax rate in its percentage form, I want to multiply it in its decimal form, okay? So, I'm multiplying. I'm going to write on the side 1 times 0.08, which is 800s. So, 1 times 800s, which would give me, you guessed it, 800s, okay? Or 8 cents since we're talking about dollars. Money anyway. So then I'm going to add those two totals together towards the end. And then it's 12 times 0.08. Which if you guys are guessing something with 96, you should be absolutely correct. So 96 cents. And this is going to be $12.96. Okay. And so then with the last row, we're going to take that constant and we're going to multiply it times X to figure out the tax rate. So we're going to do 0.08X. And friendly reminder, even though it's a different tax rate, it's still the same steps, which I'm going to write that in blue. It's going to be X plus 8 cents X. Okay? So, now let's refer back to the question that says compare the tables. So what do you notice and wonder about this table or with comparing it, okay? So you could compare which table is cheaper, which one's more expensive, and so on, okay? So let's look at our items that we bought. Which ones would be the better deal? Would it be better to go to City A, City 1 to get your stuff? Which, remind you, the items are still the same. Or would it be best to go to City 2? Alright? So, it would be best, if we were comparing the price, it would be best to go to City 1. And you could say City 1 has the cheaper. City 1 has the lower, let's say that, the lower tax rate. And being that it has the lower tax rate, the prices will be lower. Even if it is by a few cents, it's still lower. Okay, guys? Every penny counts. Okay? So if you have any questions about this student task statement, make sure you visit your manager's Google Meet session, and I'll see you guys in the next problem.